Good afternoon, everyone. Shane Jenkins here again with another episode of Liberty's Cage. Just doing the do. Another beautiful day here in Indiana. I hope everyone is well. Thank you all for having me. Thank you, the America First Warehouse. If you don't have the app, download the America First Media and Television app. It is the easiest way to get this show and many other shows on the America First Warehouse website. We're going to build a media powerhouse, and you guys need to be on the ground floor when we build it. So hopefully you guys can tune in. I have a wonderful guest, a friend of mine, Arvis Owens. He is an advocate. He is an activist. I like the word activist because, you know, people are passionate about stuff, but what do they do about it? Do they do anything? Do they take action? Well, much like myself, I feel like January 6th kind of put me in motion, and it's been this perpetual thing since then. I have not been able to stop, and I don't really want to stop. I don't know where this ends, but I'm along for the ride, and I feel like Arvis, unfortunately, had to go through some things to get to where he is today. But he's going to tell us about some people that have been falsely imprisoned and falsely accused in the military, and how we are actively going to fight that and help him fight that. So it should be a good interview. We've got a lot going on. I've been building the studio, working with the cameras and all that, so it's been an ongoing thing, but it has been a pleasure. You know, I quit drinking. That has been very interesting, but it has been good. Dealing with life on life terms is not always the easiest, and I just want to encourage my J6 brothers and sisters out there, if you are having a hard time, please reach out to me. Emotionally, mentally, I know we went through a lot, whether it was, you know, not seeing our families, losing businesses, losing friends, people turning their backs on us, people betraying us. That takes a toll. And I think men tend to suffer alone and can get to a dark place. So just know that I think if you're using drugs or alcohol, I don't think it's going to help. I think it can temporarily Band-Aid it, but I think it can also be very detrimental to your health and to your loved ones and your relationships currently. So we don't want to carry that baggage into any future relationships. So please reach out to me. info@standinthegap.foundation if you would like to talk or have some questions or some concerns. But so I'm going to bring Arvis Owens on without further ado. Arvis.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Good, man. I thought I was going to have my Black Viking roots in the back, but it looks like it went dark screen on me.
Looks like you're in outer space right now.
It is. I had, like, Norway out there. I was like Chocolate Ragnar. I was going to, but you know what? They're just going to have to use their imagination.
Well, they Ragnar. Call you Blacknar, maybe.
Maybe. Look. Like, I actually like the name Magnus.
Magnus,
if I was Viking, Magnus.
I like Optimus, too.
You like that?
Optimus
That'd be good stuff. Hey, Shane, I want to thank you for having me and for your audience taking the time out of their busy schedule to listen. First and foremost, my name is Arvis Owens, and as Shane mentioned, I am an activist and an advocate for men in the military who were falsely accused, wrongly convicted of sexual assault and domestic violence. And first and foremost, I want to say our heart goes out to true victims. We support you. We believe you. We believe you deserve justice. What I would like to talk about is that side, that pressure to get convictions regardless of what the evidence shows. And without further ado, if you don't mind, I can go into kind of the start of how it all started.
Look, I want to say, you know, because there's a lot. It's kind of almost like I don't want to say people when they hear sexual crimes or domestic violence, people just want to be like, I don't want to talk about that. But there are people that are wrongly convicted, you know, and there are people that should have been convicted. And there are victims, and then there are people who also abuse the system. And I have a vendetta against this man or this woman, and I'm going to weaponize the system against them to the detriment of their lives and their well-being. And so we want to, like you said, recognize the victims, and we know that these things happen, bad things happen to women and to men. But so yeah, go ahead, Arvis.
So Shane, again, thank you for having me on. So this starts with President Obama, the Obama administration, and Senator Gillibrand. And so this starts with the Democrats during his administration. They do a military survey, and then based on that survey, they conclude there's not enough prosecutions and convictions for sexual assault. And so the pressure comes to the commanders. So think admirals and generals. And I want to give your audience examples. Like, we have cases where there was DNA proof it wasn't them. They threw out the DNA and convicted them. We have cases where...
Is this around the same time as the Me Too movement is going on, or was this...
It was right before, but it kind of co-joined. So this is 2009, 2010, and then Me Too 2010, 2011. So right about the same time, you're right.
Okay.
It was... They wanted to show we believe women. And so the question I ask is, what happens if a woman accuses a woman? Which woman do you believe? And then the second one is, we think it should say believe evidence. So to give you some examples, it was guy had DNA proof, still convicted. His accuser confessed that she was about to be thrown out. They threw out the confession, and they would not allow the agent who took the confession to testify. Wow. We had one where the person admitted to getting $10,000 in bribes and lied in a military court. They're civilian. And when they brought them back, they said that $10,000 was an installment. And one of my favorite stories, and I'll go into more depth, is we have a gentleman, Matt Lepart, his brother Jim Lepart, I think you know. In that case, he recorded a sexual event with his wife. So she comes out of the shower, shimmy shakes for the camera, gets on top of him. One, it was legal in the state they were in. It's a one-party state. But two, she was aware he was recording. And when they had a custody situation, she accuses him of rape. And the military, the Air Force in that case, would not allow him to use the camera footage from that event.
If I'm not mistaken, she said under oath that moment on the camera, not another time, that specific event was the moment that she was being raped, when she shimmied for the camera, then climbs up on top of her husband while he's sitting.
Correct.
Was the moment that she was raped.
Yes.
So, just to be clear on that. Yeah.
Right. And so literally they started changing the laws, changing the rules, applying pressure for sexual harassment, sexual assault, as well as DV. And so what happened is the conviction rate went up. In fact, there was a letter from a 3-star, Vice Admiral Winfield Jr., who was the vice chair of the Joint Chiefs. He sent it to a senator saying, we are getting convictions in cases that civilian law enforcement won't take. But he never answers how. How are you doing that? Yeah. But go ahead, Shane.
No, so to be clear, they did a questionnaire, so they kind of set a threshold. Now they've got this threshold. We need X amount of convictions. So now you've got a quota to meet. Like if the city says we need X amount of tax dollars to raise, like if when the new month starts, the police officer's like, this is the number we're trying to hit. This is the budget we got to hit. We've got to get this many speeding tickets. So, a certain time of the month you don't want to be speeding. Towards the end of the month you're good. Right. So it's a good quota thing.
So they don't call it they call it a goal or target, but yes. For lack of a better word, it is a quota. And this affects Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. This is throughout the services. It's even so bad, Shane, that the Senate Armed Services Committee is looking at your conviction rate for your promotion. So it's kind of like going to the playoffs. It's if you're not the 1 or the 2 seed, you're not going to get promoted. So the commanders get that message.
Right. We've got this ugly thing we need you to take care of. All the other job responsibilities too, but if you're not meeting this quota on this arena here, you're going to miss the playoffs.
That's it. And, as an example to your audience, we got a story I call the candy bar lover. This was in Louisiana, Army case. It's a married mother of 4 goes out, tells her husband she's going to go get a candy bar. She, in fact, goes to the country western bar. Look, I love a good achy breaky too. I'm from Texas, so I get that, right? Get it. She goes in the bar, she's doing shots, body shots, you name it, shots galore, right? Shots. She's dancing with the guy, dirty dancing, and in front of his friends, she goes, do you want to go back to your barracks and have fun? His friends are hooting and hollering, you know how that is. He's like, yeah. They go, they have unprotected sex, and then he asks for her phone number. Like, he doesn't even have the number. He's like, hey, I want to do this again. She goes, oh, no, I'm married. I got 4 kids. And he's like, I didn't know none of that. And so she leaves, and she calls the police and says, can I get a morning after pill? So in that state, very conservative state, they go, you have to be a victim of rape. Were you raped? She goes, no. They asked her again, were you raped? She said, they have to ask her about a dozen times before she says, yeah, I was raped, but I don't want to press charges. She just wants the morning after because she has to explain to her husband why that candy bar took so long. And again, it was unprotected sex. She goes to the hospital. She doesn't want to cooperate. They do a sexual assault nurse examiner exam. And so she doesn't want to press charges. Like, why? You were raped. Why wouldn't you want to press charges? They do the kit. They use her phone. They track down the bar where she was, and they arrest the man. He was in his 20s. He was 21 or 22. He spent his whole 20s in prison.
I mean, to play the devil's advocate, I can understand why, like, putting yourself through, like, then she would, let's say she went out and did have drinks and she did get raped, I can understand, well, she was supposed to be out doing the candy bar thing, I happened to go to a trial and testify, I happened to go through, I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
I got you.
I understand why it would be embarrassing, but if you need the morning after pill, I think you could probably just get that. I think that would be...
You know what? No, I didn't say she was smart now. And then on top of that, she was so distraught that 2 weeks after she made the allegation against him, she's back at the same country western bar, dirty dancing with 2 guys. And then after the trial, she leaves her husband and moves to another state, takes the kids. So again...
So what happened to the victim? I mean, not the victim, the victim, but what happened to the guy?
He got 20 years in prison. He spent his whole 20s in prison. He's been there 12 years now.
Still there?
Still there. In fact, the military refuses to give him parole because he won't sign a confession. So in military prison, they want you to sign a confession. He says, hell no, I'm not going to do it. Right. And number 2, they want him to take training. And he's like, I'm not taking the training because I didn't do that shit. And so...
Sounds familiar, vaguely familiar.
You've heard of that a little bit? A lack of due process, they call it?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, so in the J6 stuff, and I think all this kind of has a resembled link to just the manipulation and the over-prosecution and the, just the way they did it. But they told guys like, hey, we know President Trump put you up to this. If you'll say you were misled and President Trump put you up to it, then we'll let you out on bond. One guy actually did it, and they let him out on bond. But the majority of us were like, he didn't, first of all, so I would be lying.
Right.
Second of all, I'm a grown-ass man. And I will stand on my own. I'll be accountable for my own things. Nobody put me up to anything, So,
right.
But I understand it. Like, why, I would. He's a man of character. It seemed he would rather stand on the truth than compromise who he is and what he believes in, even for his own freedom.
Right. And we have other men just like that. They literally, it's if somebody wants to get you legally, they will.
Right. Well, we're going to have to go to commercial break. We will be right back with more Liberty's Cage right after this.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just 2 entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW, making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single, Justice for All, with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. Well, get ready for round 2. We're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all, our voices ring. The anthem of the free.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see. A symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Hello, everyone. Shane Jenkins back again with Liberty's Cage. I have a special guest, Chocolate Ragnar, a.k.a. Arvis Owens, advocate and activist for falsely accused in mostly military men in prison. And I've spent some time with Arvis. Solid dude, fun to hang out with, comedian, and Chocolate Ragnar. So, yeah, go ahead. Pick up where you left off, Arvis.
So that was just one case. I want to give your audience examples of cases where it'll blow your mind, right? DNA evidence. We got a case where a young man sent a picture to a female classmate of him doing a handstand on a beach. He's got his shirt off. His teenage daughter took the pictures, and he was kicked out for sexual harassment. They said it was an unsolicited shirtless pic. But they had been talking about handstands. So he sent her a picture doing a handstand. And just cases where you're just like, it defies common sense, all because there was a goal, a quota, an idea that you had to have these convictions, or you weren't taking this seriously. And again, we even have women who come to us, MST survivors who hate this, because they're saying, wait a minute, this is why people don't believe true victims. Right. Because you've made this system so open that now, if you lack due process for everyone, then you lose trust in the system. If you're not going to treat everybody fairly and the same, then you can't claim equal rights if that's not what your goal is. That's not what you're doing. And that's what we find with the legal system many times, is if they want to get you, they'll come up with a way. If you don't say what they want you to say or do what they want you to do.
They'll indict a ham sandwich.
Yep, with no mail.
My girlfriend and I were talking about it last night. This very conversation. She was like, I just don't think there's. She's like, I just don't think women need to be in the military.
That's a big one. Now we have. I would say there are women who are amazing service women, right? In the military, I think we're better served with them, their opinions and ideas.
No, for
I think when you talk about combat roles, that's where it gets a little dicey. No. And then when you talk about this, where it's, I'll tell you, there's something called third-party sexual harassment, as an example. So let's say you and I are behind closed doors and we tell each other a joke that's a little dicey. If someone on the other side of that door that we don't even know is there hears it, right, we both can be indicted for sexual harassment. And in the military, that's 2 years in prison and a dishonorable discharge. And even if they don't do criminal, their administrative system has a lower burden. They'll do that, and you'll get something called titled or indexed. So for your audience's understanding is, in the military, if you're investigated, they'll put you in an NCII database run by the FBI, accessible by all of law enforcement, and it's possible if you do a detailed background check, it will pop, where it looks like you're a criminal, even if you get a pardon, even if your case is overturned, even if you're found not guilty of all charges, you're in that database for 40 years, and it will look like you're a convict, even if you were cleared.
Well, and again, to tie it to J6 again, we have guys who have been, we're 1,600 of us that were pardoned by the president. I have
right.
a friend, Peter Steger, who recently has gone to 5 different, I would say, companies with a corporate level, with an HR department. He's gone to 5 interviews, like Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, whatever. I don't know what the other ones were, but jobs like that. Applied, got all the way through the process until the end, and they said, well, we're just going to run this background check. Everything comes back good, you're going to get hired. And then they're like, because J6ers it will still show all your charges from January 6th, and some of his happen to be violent charges, and then below in the fine print it will say pardoned by the President of the United States. And so
right.
they showed up, that shows up, and they're like, oh, we can't hire you based upon this. And they're like, I have been forgiven according to under the letter of the law of these charges, and you're still going to use it against me, which a lot of people don't. And you know what this form is called, but I know you can have remedy this through the FBI. They can expunge it from your record, but there's a form and a process. You want to kind of talk about that?
So I'm not familiar with the civilian way, but I know the way the military does it. Right. About 4 years ago, Congress said you need to come up with a way to remove people. And so what the military did was created a board, but they made the process so complex that most people hire an attorney.
Right.
And then I want to say 9% or less of the people who apply, they will remove it. And Shane, it's so easy. It literally is, I go Shane Jenkins, delete, and it's done. That's how easy it is to do manually. But the process to apply and for them to consider you is amazingly hard. So if you're trying to do it on the civilian side, I would say there are lawyers and former, let's say, agents who specialize in that, who kind of know that process, but it can be pricey, one, and two, it's not guaranteed they'll do it.
We need, and that's something that, as far as the Jan 6 community needs to do, is move as a whole to have this whole thing expunged from your record, from everybody's records. That way, because it's still holding people back. And the sad thing is, my friend Peter Stager, he had no criminal record prior to January 6th. So he's pardoned for the one thing he was charged with. It's still impacting his life. And so, the same thing for people that are exonerated, pardoned, in the military, falsely accused, and it's off. Now you think, okay, I can go on with my life. Well, hold on a second. Actually, it's still on your record deep down in there.
And Shane, I want to bring another level of attention. Let's say he wanted to start his own business. So a lot of times, if you try and get a professional certification, they do that background check and they'll stop it, right? So if you want to join a trade association. Now, some of them will, they'll look into it and they'll allow it. But most, they'll do the check and they won't give you the license. They won't give you the charter. They won't get you the insurance. And so if you want to move on and have your own business because you're having trouble getting employed, a lot of times that titling or indexing will still be a big roadblock for you to go forward. And most people have no idea it's happening. And I agree with you is that our legal experts need to come up with a system that's fair and just to remove that. If we're going to take that conviction away, you should be cleared of this automatically without having to do anything extra.
I mean, forgiven should mean forgiven. It shouldn't mean like my ex-girlfriend, like I forgive you, but then really I'm going to beat you over the head.
Shane, that's exactly what it is.
It means it's gone. It's like I've cast it as, like Jesus says, I cast it as far as the east is from the west. Like it should be forgiven like Jesus forgives.
Right.
Forgive you for your sins.
I tell you, the saddest part is most people don't care until it's someone they love. I have a real close friend. He was like, well, and then something happened to his son, right? And then they got him in a diversion program, but he's still titled. And he couldn't get some certifications he wanted. And then now it's a problem. So what I tell people is, if you accept injustice for others, then congratulations, you just accepted it for yourself and someone you love.
You're part
so
of the problem, too.
Yeah, you are. It really is. It's if you believe in justice, if you believe people should be treated fairly, then all people should be treated fairly. In fact, there's a quote I say a lot is, liberty and justice for all does not mean liberty and justice for some.
Right.
And that's the sad part. And I will tell you what it feels like sometimes is a war on speaking out, a war on being male, a war on being anything that doesn't meet the status quo. In fact, I tell people, look, we used to be able to joke when I was a kid, but now you can't joke anymore. Because if you joke, you're going to get a negative label, and no one's ever going to come around you anymore. In fact, like I like archery as an example. So my wife paid for me to go, and I'm in the woods hand making a bow, right? I would have rather made like a Lakota or Comanche Native American bow, but this was like a long bow with Osage orange. So I'm out there, I send it to my friends, and this is before memes were a thing. And they come back and call me Last of the Brohicans. They call me Geronimo Bro. They call me, Dances with Pit Bulls. What else? Gangster Cupid. Fall in love, bitch. They but it was fun, right? It was, we're joking, we're laughing. But that's the way we've gotten in society, Shane. You can't joke anymore with anybody because there's a negative label around the corner that you will wear for the rest of your life. And even when they say it's gone, it's not.
Well, the good news for me is they've already called me everything that they could call me. Domestic terrorist, like all these things.
Wow.
The FBI labeled me Tier 1 anti-government extremist. So, I mean, what are you going to do? They've already destroyed my life. I've already had to rebuild my life from in and out of prison my younger years. It's like, I have zero to lose. There's absolutely zero that you can take from me. And I think that's when a man can become dangerous. When you are prepared to lose it all, and you have lost it all, and you've still rebuilt your life from that. I think that's a dangerous man right there.
And what I think is so sad about that, Shane, is you're a productive guy, and there's so many productive people out there that would benefit this society if we were to treat this system the way it was designed to be treated. Right. And I hate to bring up other countries, but other countries have figured it out. Is they make opportunities. Expungement means expungement, right. And fairness means fairness. And for some reason, we haven't figured it out. It's so politicized that it scares me to where I don't know how much further it can go before it breaks. And then people get so upset and they have nothing to lose, and they feel the system is not there for them, so they do something extreme. And I hope and pray that never happens. I love what you said at the start of the show, where you said, hey, look, if you're struggling with this, come to me. I say the same thing. If you're struggling with stuff, come to me, and let's work it out. Let's come up with a positive way, because there's so many negative ways, especially when you don't have hope.
We'll get your information out to everybody towards the end of the show. Also, I want to say, you're thinking about expungement. I talk about if you do your prison time, you should be it should be done. You should be able to vote again. You should be able to own firearms. You should be able to have your life back completely as it was before. I don't know how we get there or how we make that happen. When we come back after this break coming up, I want to talk about how they incentivized it for the women or the victim in the situation, mm-hmm. the person who reports the crime, how they incentivized it for them, and what these judges, and you kind of talk about it, the judges and the commanders and all these people, how the system kind of has incentivized it across the board for everybody. And we can go from there. But we will be back with more Liberty's Cage with Chocolate Ragnar and Shane Jenkins right after this commercial break. See you there.
250 years ago, a nation was born, built on courage, driven by freedom, defined by patriots who stood their ground. Today, we don't just remember that legacy, we wear it. This is more than a shirt. It's a symbol of strength, freedom, and pride. I'm Steve Stern, COO of theflagshirt.com, and I invite you to celebrate 250 years of the United States with us. Wear your pride, stand for something, get your shirts today.
Politics feeling broken? What if you could match with politicians the way you match on a dating app, but based on real values? Meet OpScore from GoUSA, the first ever values-based political matchmaker. Think Match.com for elections that aligns voters with politicians. We score politicians on a nonpartisan scale based on your priorities. Track your politician scores and take our OpScore Challenge survey to match with leaders who align with you at opscore.org. Stop voting blind. Start matching smart. Politicians work for you.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won. It's not about what party. It's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
It's me, Joe the Box. And I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino Podcast, coming to you from the America First Warehouse.
Welcome, everybody, to the James Justice Show, tearing these airwaves apart with all the craziness that goes on in the world.
Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Shane Jenkins here with another episode of Liberty's Cage.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Red, Right, and True.
We are streaming live on America First Media and Television app.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
Welcome back, everybody. Shane Jenkins with Liberty's Cage with Arvis Owens, a.k.a. Chocolate Raglan. And we are talking about falsely accused and wrongly imprisoned people in the military. And I'm thinking my son he's 18 now. He's about to join the military. And I'm kind of rethinking this. Maybe this is not a good idea, but we wanted to talk about how they have incentivized us. Like, why would a woman falsely accuse somebody? I can think of a few reasons, but maybe a vendetta, or she was rejected, but maybe there's some other reasons that would motivate somebody to do something like this. Can you kind of touch on that, Arvis?
Sure. Thanks for that, Shane. So you're right. We've had divorces where there's custody disputes, property disputes, but on top of that, what the military will do is they pay you if you're a victim. They not only do they pay you, they will give you insurance, and if you're a military member and a victim, you get 50 to 100% disability for the rest of your life. Right? So those are payments, medical, etc. They will help you get a job after you get out of the military. They will also, you get priority placement anywhere you want to go. So if you don't like the base you're at, the location, you get to transfer to a new, nicer one at your pick. And again, all of they call it collateral misconduct, is forgiven. So let's say you do something illegal and you're about to get in trouble. Once you become a victim, in fact, I've had a woman contact me who was in the military who apologized because she got caught, and now she eventually withdrew the charges. But initially, she got caught doing something she wasn't supposed to, so she accused someone, and then she found out what was going to happen to him, because of the accusations. So they created a system where all was forgiven, and you got a bunch of incentives to include financial, insurance, post-military employment, VA disability, and they weren't even allowed, Shane, to investigate. They have an algorithm at the VA, so if it comes back that they think it's fraudulent, for these type cases, they weren't even allowed to investigate.
And so I think you were telling me yesterday, so even if the lady has a mental health history, she's bipolar or whatever, whatever.
You're right. Recently, they started looking at that one a little bit. Recently, they started to turn the corner on that one. But you're right.
We've had the people that suffered because it
correct. So you're right. It was, you weren't allowed to look at mental health history. In fact, we had a case where right up until the day before court, like the military knew that she was getting counseling because she falsely accused men. That's why she was in counseling. So they knew. They held that evidence back. They tried to get him to take a plea deal. He said no. And then the day before trial, they go, okay, here. And then they drop the charges. But he was so scared. He was facing 60, 70 years. Yeah. So he was like, oh, my God. So you have men taking plea agreements sometimes just because they're scared of the court. They'll take away evidence and they won't allow you to use it. And they knew the mental capacity of this person. They were mixing alcohol with various mental health medications, and they weren't supposed to. They'll pull that out and not let that be used in court. And so
the process is sometimes the punishment. Like you say, that guy, they pulled it at the end, but he still probably had to hire an attorney.
Yes.
Now he's got this stigma over his back. All of his friends are side-eyeing him like, did you rape that girl, or whatever it was. All these, these things. And if we have a friend, a mutual friend, I won't mention their name, but they, destroyed their career, man. Decorated career, and just been, not the same person that they probably used to be, man. It's this kind of the same thing that we're going through in our community. You've got guys, Green Berets, Army Rangers, stellar careers, like I'm talking elite soldiers, JSOC, like all these things, and they're not able to get their clearance anymore. They're not the same people that they used to be, and that is a shame. Shame on our government for doing that to us.
That's right. And going back to that indexing is they can't even go to certain countries. Like, you want to go to Canada, no, you can't go. You want to go to the UK? No. Mexico, Japan. So a lot of these JSOC guys, they get this label. They not only can't get a clearance, they can't even go to certain countries. But I was going to share another quick story with your audience. We had, 2 military members, males. They have sex with a female. So, little menage a trois action. And Afterwards, they go back to the unit, and what do you think they did?
Talked about it, probably.
They talked about it, Shane. They did. They shouldn't have done it. Don't do that. They talked about it. She got embarrassed. She says, okay, they raped me. So now everybody quits talking. They're quiet. So these two young men recorded the entire sexual encounter. They didn't tell her that. She didn't know that. So the prosecutor looks at the video. In this case, they do look at it. And they can clearly see from the video that it's consensual. So they drop the rape charges and they hit him with an indecent act charge and use the video as evidence, and they get 3 years in prison. So in the military, you're not allowed to have sex with more than just one person. And you're not allowed to have people watch you have sex. So people think indecent acts. I say, okay, so think about indecent exposure. If you're naked in a place you shouldn't be, or if you're urinating in public, you can be put on the sex offender registry for that. So they get hit with indecent acts. So the video that they recorded to prove that they didn't rape the person was used against them so they could be convicted of indecent acts. Still put them on the registry, still put them in prison. They didn't commit rape. And that's what I tell people, Shane. I'm not telling you these guys are choir angels, right? What I'm telling you is they didn't do rape, they didn't do sexual assault. Did they lack good judgment by telling the rest of the unit about that sexual encounter?
I mean, 18, you joined the military.
Yeah, 18, 19, 20 years old.
Children.
So that's what I tell parents. I said, look, think pictures. Like we've had someone who, they were upset because somebody took pictures or videos, and then they wanted to categorize the relationship a different way. We've had situations where the man and the woman get together, and the woman's got a fiance, right? And his fiance, so 6 months go by, but then once the fiance finds out, she goes, well, I was raped. And they were like, wait a minute, you've been sitting on I didn't think anybody would believe me. That's because you went to his room and you were on top of him. In fact, the case I'm talking about, the woman was having sex with him with her best girlfriend in the room to make sure she was okay. Her best friend was in the room. Now, the guy was trying to get her to, come along and play too, but she didn't want to. So she's in the room watching her girlfriend have sex, and she's on top of the guy. Another person tries to come in the room, and the woman shoos him away. And then 6 months after that, her fiance finds out. And that's when it's rape. And he got, I think, 5 years in prison. He might still be on parole right now. But that's the common sense test, Shane, that I tell people. It's, wait a minute. Your best friend was in the room, and she testifies and says, yeah, everything was fine. I mean, yeah, like that is look, I was like, I don't think I've had that type of friendship with someone, but, obviously she does. Her friend is in the room, and it's like, yeah, she was fine. But they were like, no.
Tell her, hey, you're about to get married. How about you don't do that?
Well, Shayna, we listen and we don't judge, I guess. But the military does judge, so I'm just saying that.
Yeah, harshly, it sounds like too.
Correct, very harshly. So those are the incentives, those are the things that happen, and now many of them are afraid that if an investigation occurs and the American public sees this, they're going to be like, oh my. They're worried they're never going to believe anyone ever again. And I go, no, we don't want that. We want evidence to be the guiding light. The problem is when you don't have common sense as the guiding light, you don't have evidence, you get into situations where people are they're punished unjustly. So that's the sad part.
Right. I wanted to read something to you, and this is, and you got military judges. They're a judge, right? And I just wanted to read this. Because we do have a lot of, you're probably one of the few interviews that I've done that has not been a J6er, but I want to read this article from Fox News. It says, new judge apologizes in court to the White House correspondence, or the WHCA, White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting suspect Cole Allen. Magistrate Judge Zia Faruqi said that he was fascinated and disturbed by Allen's treatment in jail. Allen is the attempted assassin. Allen was placed on suicide watch when he was first in prison. Prosecutors argued that since Allen told investigators he did not expect to survive the alleged attack, he could be a danger to himself. But an incredulous Faruqi wasn't convinced by that argument, drawing comparisons between Allen and defendants arrested for rioting at the Capitol on Jan 6, 2021. To me, it is extremely disturbing that he was put in 5-point restraints, a person with no criminal history. It's troubling. I never heard of one Jan 6 defendant who was put in a 5-point restraint or in a safe cell. If the only way to keep him safe is the most punitive thing, that's a problem. At a minimum, I should be apologizing to him. We are obligated to make sure he's taken care of. Mr.
Wow.
Allen, I'm sorry that things have not been the way they're supposed to.
Wow. I'm shocked, man. I'm shocked. I should be
6-point
surprised.
restraints. We had handcuffs, belly chain, shackles, and then when they would transport us, they would put us. So usually handcuffs can go like this. They would put a black box on us where your wrists, where you had no motion like this. Oh, your wrists were locked in like that.
How do you go to the bathroom?
You don't. I mean, you do, but it's very, very difficult.
Oh my God!
When we first got to the D.C. jail, they forced us to go to. Nobody in the whole D.C. I'm talking murderers, rape. Nobody was shackled and handcuffed that went to medical. And I just, when you're moved around the jail in general, they shackled us, hand and feet, and belly chain to move us to medical and back. The rest of the jail unshackled. So we're passing other inmates in the hallway. Unshackled, we're shackled. That they're supposed to stop all traffic and transport us. They allow the other inmates out around us because what can we do if they attack us? Nothing. Those guards are going to get out of the way because they don't want to do anything.
Right.
And so, but it just, what do you think about the apology though? The nerve.
I was going to ask you, did you get your apology for the 6 points at all? I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's someone pandering to a political side, and it's sad and shameful. And hopefully the American people will pay attention. They'll listen to shows like this and understand, and they'll be more politically active. You talked about men going in caves, I think, which I agree with, is a lot of men will shut down and go in caves. We need you to be politically active. We need you to register to vote. We need you to push for your rights change. We need you to keep politicians honest by asking them the tough questions and listening to the answer, and not accepting an answer that doesn't make sense for you and the community you serve.
Demanding accountability.
That's
We'll
it,
be back.
every
Maybe we
day.
can talk about the Epstein, why nobody's been arrested from that whole deal, but we're holding our military accountable. How about that? We'll be back with more Liberty's Cage with Shane Jenkins and Arvis Owens right after this commercial break.
Me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
Corporate transfer. Fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Welcome back, everyone. Shane Jenkins with Liberty's Cage on the America First Warehouse with Arvis Owens, activist. Yeah.
Both.
Seventh-day Adventist. Not really.
Sometimes they live a long time too, man.
Only on days that end in life. So now we've kind of laid out how it's incentivized, what the problem is. What do we need to do as concerned citizens, and as a concerned parent with a child going into the military? Like, what do we do now?
3 things, Shane, and thanks for the question.
Okay.
First thing is, there's a website we have. It's got a petition on it. It's www.change.org/unjust UCMJ. You'll see 7 cases. Mine is 1. Sign it, share it, and we're trying to get enough attention so that we can get more media attention on this issue. Number 2, if you know anybody in the media, podcasters, media personalities, send them this clip, send them this show, please. Send it to people you like, send it to people you hate. We don't care. Send it to media people,
Share,
especially.
like, comment, yeah.
That's right. Share, like, comment, and share again.
Right.
And then number 3, it's when your family member gets asked by a recruiter to think about joining the military, I want you to have them ask, what are you doing to help the falsely accused and wrongly convicted and stop it from happening to others? And I want you to listen to what they say, and I want you to really think about what they should have said and did. That's it.
That's easy. So
we try to make it easy.
/unjust UCMJ.
That's it.
Share the cases out. There's 7 of them on there. Arbus's is one of them.
Yep. And then share this video.
There you go. And then ask the recruiters, what are you doing for the falsely imprisoned and wrongly accused, or falsely accused and wrongly accused?
That's right. Thank you.
What are you in the process of doing? Like, what are you actively doing right now?
So here's what we've done. Is there used to be a Defense Advisory Committee for Investigations, Prosecutions, and Defense of Sexual Assault. We had people testify at that, and that report goes to Congress. Now what I'm doing is I'm directly soliciting members of Congress to get change to the laws, legislation, and to get the military to change. We do podcasts and interviews to get the attention out there. We do various forms of outreach where we'll talk to people about what's going on. I will advise people going through the system. As an example, I have someone going through it now. They were talking to a classmate about abortion, right? It was female to male. And so the female had an abortion. She'd been the victim of a rape. And the guy didn't know what to do. So awkwardly, he kind of pats her on the head to comfort her. And another classmate said, that's sexual harassment. So the military immediately moved to process him out for sexual harassment because he patted her on top of the head. It was awkward.
That got patted on the head co-signed?
She was not the one, but it's called third party. It was someone saw it. Just like I was giving the example with the joke. You and I tell a joke and we're fine, but a third party hears it and says, you know what, Arvis and Shane were cracking jokes and I was offended. Even though I was so they wanted to roll him out within 48 hours. We got him an attorney, and we're slowing down the process to say, wait a minute, let's look at this. And so, but he's so disgusted at the process that he almost wants to be out now. He's like, wait a minute, I'm going to give up all this.
We can meet our quota.
And the sad part is he doesn't realize about all the titling and stuff. And so I've just made dang sure he understands it to make sure any paperwork, he's not going to be titled for the rest of his life. And he's in his early 20s. But it was one accusation is enough. We had someone
like the lesser of the evils, though. If he can get rolled out, like no harm, no foul, he's disgusted by the process, walk away, they get their quota, like I would be like, okay, let's do it like that instead of giving somebody a life sentence.
Right.
It sucks. It's still a bad process, but...
And that's what's sad. They're using the administrative process to get you. And they're scaring you with, like, look, if you don't take this, what we're giving you now, we'll take you to court, and then we'll send you to prison and X, Y, and Z. And so that's the sad part, though. It's that you're like, wait a minute, a pat on the head. Someone didn't sit that person down and says, you understand that may be awkward, but that's not sexual harassment. Right. Instead of having that tough conversation. So I'm still disgusted by that, right? And so they're using the administrative system more now. So I want to have tough conversations with people to say, just because your feelings may think this or feel this, that doesn't make it true.
Well, tell me this. SecDef, or Secretary of War now, Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, Pete Hegseth.
Falsely accused, right?
Yeah, Monterey,
Surely he's making big waves and moving the football in this field, right? Or is that...
Well, he's done a couple things, but
we're not supposed to talk about that.
Well, it's more of... So there's a Task and Purpose article you guys can Google where he says, now we're gonna clamp down and we're gonna go after false accusers. Now, but if you read that article, it doesn't specifically state for sexual harassment, sexual assault, and DV. So we also had false accusations of being racist as well. So I tell people, when I was an officer in the Navy, I had a black guy working for me, as an example. So he did the wrong thing, and I went to punish him. So he accused me of being racist against black people. So my boss starts laughing, and he was like, I've never seen this one, Arv. And he says, and then he stops himself. He says, I shouldn't laugh. You're going to get investigated. I got investigated for 2 weeks. And they go, well, Arv, why'd you punish him? Because I did spot checks on him, and I saw that he wasn't doing his job for like 2 years before I got there. I'd only been there a few weeks. And so I was deemed legitimate, but I could not punish him because it would be seen as retaliation. So we have that as well. That's another false accusation that happens in the military. They will give you a label with no justification. I have a friend, she's in Texas as well, white lady, great lady. She was an officer. She got accused of being racist against black people. Her husband's black, Shane. So when the investigator comes in, and her son's biracial, the investigation's like, you're racist against black people. And then they look at the picture on her desk and they were like, who's that black guy and that half black? Well, that's my husband and my son. And they go, damn, we can't get a conviction on this one. So they changed the charges against her to get her. And says, well, you must have done some financial improprieties. Wait a minute. And it was, she went to punish someone because they weren't doing their job, and they accused her of that with no evidence. And she's still distraught to this day because she didn't get a promotion. She eventually had to leave the military. Is if you know anything about her, she's not the slight bit racist at all. And it's, they will say that so you can't oppose what they say. There's a good friend of mine in Maryland. The school board where he lives wanted to change his district where his daughter went, and every time he stood up to ask a question, they called him racist. And I said, that's bullshit. I said, you're not. I said, look, you need me to go with you, I'll go. Like, I'll ask the question if you want. And that's the sad part about this country is people will throw around negative labels with no evidence, no proof, and that shit sticks. And that is bullshit on steroids. And we want that to stop. We want it to stop. So he's done a little bit.
You can't say you're tired of fighting wars for Israel without being an anti-Semite. You know that.
You know what? That's another topic as well. Is that people will give you a negative label even if you disagree, right? Shane, we can be friends and disagree, right?
Absolutely.
I tell people, you love your girlfriend, I love my family. We don't agree on everything. Yeah. And so in this country, we should be allowed to disagree without having a negative label attached to us. And I really believe it's about silence. If we throw that negative label, you'll be quiet. And guys, that's the last thing we need to be, is you need to voice your belief, right?
End up and be accounted for.
You have to be. You have to be, and we have to shut this down and say, look, you don't have evidence of this. This doesn't make sense. We're not going to do it. So
that's what people, I disagree. I think we should not be involved in the conflict with Iran right now. People I posted on social media, and I think we should stop being Israel's bitch, and whatever, right? And that's my opinion. That's not your opinion, and whatever. That's not President Trump's opinion. That's fine too.
Right.
But they're like, people are like, you're a traitor to MAGA. And I'm like, you're stabbing President Trump in the back, and I'm thinking no, I don't know if you guys have ever been married. But how often do you disagree with your wife or your significant other? How often do you, with your close friends, how often do you disagree on a topic? I don't have to agree with President Trump on everything. I still support the man. I still would vote for him again today. I am not one of these leftists just brainwashed, like I'm not going to toe the line. When President Trump opens his mouth and says something stupid, which is from time to time, which is fine, I'm not going to agree with that, and that's okay. That doesn't mean I'm selling him out or I'm stabbing him in the back or I'm a traitor. I'm a free-thinking, I have a mind of my own, and I just think that's what it is. People are so, like, just absolutist. Like, they only, like, either you're all the way in or you're all the way in. Either you're a traitor or you're a patriot. There's no in between. Like,
right?
I don't agree with that.
And I will tell you, here's what I'll share with your audience. I believe that we may not agree, but we can always understand. So you look for understanding in someone. Look, you may not 100% agree with what they, but who do you 100% agree with? Your parents, your loved ones, your lovers. You don't. So why would you expect to agree 100% with your politician? But you should be allowed to disagree because that's the right we have in this country.
Well, find the common ground. It's much. There's
exactly
like people
exactly.
Like, you're black and I'm white, and we're like, oh, I hate you because you're black. I hate you because you're white. Well, they're like 99% of the other things, like we bleed the same blood, we have the same body structure, the same heart, we have the same haircut, you and I, Arvis. Like, there's a lot more in common, but the only thing different is our skin color.
That's it. And your last name was misleading, man. When I heard Shane Jenkins, I thought you was black for about 4 minutes.
Gingers are technically black.
I have heard that, right? You guys are spicy reds now, right?
Well, and so, yeah. How can people get a hold of you? Like, where do they go to get a hold of you? Or
so, you know what? Reach out to Shane. My email address is arvisowens@yahoo.com. I get tons of spam, and sometimes I get useful stuff too. I'm out there. If you look me up, you'll find me. I'm on social media. I'm on X @AOwens. I'm on Facebook, although I don't look at Facebook all the time. But I'm out there. I'm available. Come through the show host, please. And again, share this video with everybody and their mama. All right? I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on the show, Arvis. Thank you for tuning in to Liberty's Cage. We'll see you next week. God bless you all. God bless the Republic.